What if the United States has finally acknowledged centuries of systemic injustices by enacting a comprehensive reparations program? Each eligible descendant of African American slaves will be set to receive $151 million, an amount aimed at addressing the vast economic disparities that have persisted due to slavery, Jim Crow laws, and ongoing racial discrimination.
You be a good field hand and you can stay here.
In a groundbreaking and historic decision, reparations have officially been approved to address the systemic wealth gap caused by centuries of slavery, segregation, and discrimination. Each Black American eligible for this program will receive $151 million, a monumental step toward closing the racial wealth gap and creating economic equity in the United States. This decision marks a pivotal moment in history, acknowledging the lasting impact of slavery and systemic racism while providing a pathway toward justice and reconciliation. In this video, we break down the details.
But how do we even determine who's eligible for reparations? And can the struggle for reparations in other parts of the world teach us anything about what needs to be done in the US? To understand why there's a call for reparations, there needs to be an understanding of the scale of slavery. It was a crime against humanity in which around 400,000 people were forcibly brought to North America. Over the centuries, 10 million enslaved people were legally treated as property in the United States, brutalized and ruthlessly exploited for free labor.
Hold up. Let me say this quickly. Not all of my ancestors came off a boat from Africa to what Europeans call today America. Most of my ancestors were the original indigenous people to this land. By the way, Real Talk had made several short videos about this, so please go and check them out. As the saying goes, the rabbit hole is very deep, but it's about how far you're willing to dig for this information. Believe me, most of this happened no later than the early 1800s. This shows how free labor, blood and sweat, got the job done. But let's continue.
Exploited for free labor, which was used to establish the country as a leading global economy. In fact, one historian estimated that by 1860, enslaved people were, quote, worth some $3.5 billion, making them the largest single financial asset in the entire US economy. That's around $115 billion today. When slavery was abolished in 1865, 4 million formerly enslaved African Americans were freed. But through their forced labor, they created billions of dollars in generational wealth for their captors and none for themselves. Back then, the US government understood the need for reparations and passed an order to distribute 40 acres and a mule to all formerly enslaved families so they could build wealth and financial security. However, after the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, President Andrew Johnson vetoed the allocation and returned the land to former slave owners. One way to reckon with America's past and current wealth disparity is through reparations that close the racial wealth gap.
So here's a question for you. If reparations were to be approved, would you prefer to receive the $151 million in the form of cash, gold, or land? Which that's not including the 40 acres and a mule, not to mention the big corporations that profited off of free labor. So feel free to leave your comments, like and share for more unapologetic content. Now, let's continue with the video.
However, there are risks associated with cash, including inflation and mismanagement. Without wise investment, cash may not retain its value over time, especially with the rise of BRICS nations, which could diminish the dollar's worth. The future may see digital currencies becoming the norm. Gold. Gold has historically served as a hedge against inflation and a reliable store of value. Receiving reparations in gold could help maintain purchasing power. However, gold does not generate income unless sold or used as collateral for loans, which may not suit everyone seeking immediate economic mobility. Land. Land has long been a cornerstone of wealth in America. Reparations in the form of land could provide access to property in both urban and rural areas, offering a home and an appreciating asset. This option could also address the historical injustices of land dispossession, but it comes with challenges such as maintenance costs, property taxes, and zoning issues. How should we spend it? Education and human capital. Investing in education can break cycles of poverty, benefiting not just individuals but entire communities. Scholarships, vocational training, and the establishment of educational institutions could lead to transformative change. Entrepreneurship and business development. With $151 million, individuals could launch businesses, create jobs, and empower Black communities economically. This could involve investing in Black-owned businesses or starting cooperative ventures. Real estate and housing. Acquiring property, especially in historically redlined areas, could help rebuild community wealth. This investment could stabilize neighborhoods and increase home ownership among Black Americans. Community development. Funds could be allocated to community trusts or foundations aimed at infrastructure development, supporting local economies, or providing essential services like healthcare and legal aid, which have often been underfunded in Black communities. Financial literacy and wealth management. Ensuring recipients are equipped with financial knowledge is vital. Programs focused on financial literacy, investment advice, and long-term financial planning would be essential for responsible management of funds. Cultural and historical preservation. Investing in cultural initiatives can preserve and celebrate African American heritage, educating future generations about history and resilience.
Which no amount of money will be enough but a start, only because there's monopoly. Many large corporations today continue that had benefited from the profits gained through the exploitation of enslaved individuals and the use of cheap labor during the Jim Crow era. These advantages have often been passed down through generations of their families. So let's keep this conversation going. As the late Malcolm X once said, the chickens are coming home to roost.